My sister-in-law faked a miscarriage on a mahogany staircase at a high society gala just to frame me for a felony, entirely forgetting that the estate was wired with 48 high-definition security cameras. There is a specific type of person who views life not as a series of events, but as a poorly written soap opera in which they are permanently cast as the tragic, long-suffering heroine. My sister-in-law, Chloe, didn't just walk into a room. She made an entrance, usually accompanied by a heavy sigh that suggested she was carrying the weight of the entire world on her perfectly contoured shoulders. Chloe was a pick-me of the highest order, the kind of woman who claimed she couldn't get along with other women because they were too much drama, entirely blind to the fact that she was the human equivalent of a walking theater district. My husband, Nathan, and I had been married for 3 years, and during that time, I had mastered the art of becoming human drywall whenever Chloe entered the room. I blended into the background, smiled politely, and let her monologue about her various phantom ailments and dietary intolerances. Nathan, bless his brilliant, analytical heart, possessed a radar for her nonsense that was even sharper than mine. He didn't argue with her, he simply applied cold, devastating logic until she wilted or found a reason to exit the conversation to tend to her migraines. The trouble began 3 months ago at the annual Henderson family summer barbecue. The Hendersons, Nathan's family, were old-money academics and corporate lawyers. They were quiet, deeply perceptive people who appreciated good wine, sharp wit, and absolute privacy. Into this environment stepped Chloe, who had married Nathan's younger brother, Liam, a year prior. Liam was a sweet, somewhat gullible guy who looked at Chloe like she had personally invented the concept of fire. At the barbecue, Chloe had spent the first 2 hours sighing melodramatically and ostentatiously refusing the champagne. When Nathan's mother, Eleanor, a woman who possessed the regal posture of a sitting monarch and the sharp mind of a retired federal judge, offered her a glass of crisp Pinot Grigio, Chloe put a trembling hand over her stomach. "Oh, no, thank you, Eleanor," Chloe whispered, loud enough to ensure the entire patio went silent. "I really shouldn't. Not in my delicate condition." Liam beamed, practically vibrating with excitement. "We're expecting. Chloe is pregnant." The family offered their polite congratulations, though Eleanor's left eyebrow twitched slightly, a sign of intense calculation. I offered a warm smile and a standard "That's wonderful news, Chloe." But Chloe didn't just want congratulations, she wanted a monopoly on the universe's attention. For the next several weeks, her pregnancy became the central axis around which the entire family was expected to rotate. The problem was, Chloe's pregnancy seemed to defy the basic laws of human biology and medical science. 1 week she was 6 weeks along, the next week she was talking about feeling the baby kick, which, unless she was harboring a miniature martial artist with accelerated growth, was physically impossible. Whenever I was in the room, Chloe would weave subtle, passive-aggressive threads into the conversation. She would look at my fitted blazers and sigh, "It must be so nice to only have to worry about your career, Clara. I used to care about my waistline, but now that I'm sacrificing my body for the next generation, I realize how trivial all of that is." I didn't take the bait. "Caring for a growing life is quite a project," I replied smoothly, sipping my tea. "Good luck with the expansion." Nathan, sitting beside me, didn't even look up from his tablet. "Actually, Chloe, human gestation doesn't significantly impact metabolic baseline requirements until the 2nd trimester, and even then, it's only about an extra 300 calories. You're mostly just sacrificing your body to that bakery down the street." Chloe's lip trembled. She looked at Liam, expecting a defense, but Liam was busy staring at a spreadsheet of crib safety ratings. "I just feel so fragile," she murmured, casting a venomous look in my direction. "Some people just don't understand the vulnerability." The real plot began to thicken when the family started planning Eleanor's 65th birthday gala. It was to be a grand affair at the Henderson estate, with over 50 extended family members and colleagues attending. Chloe immediately tried to hijack the event planning, insisting that the catering menu needed to be entirely altered to accommodate her highly specific prenatal nutritional requirements, which apparently included artisanal truffles and forbidden rice. When Eleanor gently but firmly informed her that the menu had been locked in with a Michelin-starred chef for 6 months, Chloe took out her phone and began a targeted campaign. I started receiving a barrage of text messages from her. They were a masterclass in manipulative editing. "Clara, I know you're jealous because you and Nathan haven't started a family yet, but please stop telling Eleanor that I'm faking my morning sickness. It hurts so much." I stared at the text. I hadn't spoken to Eleanor about Chloe's morning sickness at all. In fact, my only comment regarding Chloe's health had been to Nathan, noting that her morning sickness only seemed to flare up when it was time to help clear the dinner table. I replied with a simple, "I have not discussed your health with anyone, Chloe. Please direct your dietary concerns to the caterer." A few days later, the family group chat exploded. Chloe posted a cropped screenshot of our text exchange. It was edited to show only my message, "Please direct your dietary concerns to the caterer," preceded by a fabricated message above it where she asked if she could bring her own safe food because she felt unwelcome. She added a caption to the group chat, "I've never felt so alienated by a sister. I'm literally growing Liam's child and I'm being treated like a nuisance." Within minutes, Nathan called Liam. I sat on the sofa, calmly petting our cat, while Nathan's voice echoed through the living room. "Liam," Nathan said, his voice dropping into that terrifyingly calm, deposition-style register. "Tell your wife that if she manipulates another text thread to paint Clara as a villain, I will personally fund a forensic audit of her digital footprint and present it to Mother. Clara has been nothing but polite. Control your household." Liam stammered an apology, claiming Chloe was just hormonal and stressed. But the stage had been set. Chloe had realized that playing the victim wasn't yielding the absolute submission she desired from the Hendersons. She needed something bigger. A grand catastrophe. The evening of Eleanor's 65th birthday gala arrived. The Henderson estate looked spectacular, illuminated by hundreds of fairy lights woven through the old oaks. The women were in evening gowns, the men were in tailored tuxedos. I wore a sleek, emerald green silk dress that moved like water. Chloe arrived late, of course, wearing a flowing white gown that looked suspiciously like a maternity wedding dress, clutching her stomach with both hands as if she were carrying a priceless porcelain urn. Throughout the cocktail hour, she wandered the room, offering faint, tragic smiles to the guests. I remained near the champagne tower, chatting with Nathan's aunt, Aunt Beatrice, a wonderfully cynical woman who had buried 3 husbands and inherited all of their fortunes. "Look at her," Beatrice whispered, nodding toward Chloe, who was currently leaning heavily against a marble pillar. "She looks like she's auditioning for a Victorian ghost story. If she grips that stomach any harder, she's going to bruise herself." "She's pacing herself for a performance, Aunt Beatrice," I murmured, taking a sip of champagne. "Just wait for the main course." I didn't have to wait that long. Around 8 o'clock, the guests began moving toward the grand dining hall. The main staircase of the Henderson estate was a sweeping, double-sided architectural marvel made of polished mahogany. I was walking down the left corridor toward the stairs, holding a small box containing Eleanor's birthday gift, a rare, first-edition poetry collection she had been hunting for years. Chloe appeared from the shadows of the hallway, stepping directly into my path. There was no one else in the immediate corridor, though the foyer below was bustling with guests. "Clara," she said, her voice dropping its fragile act, replaced by a sharp, cold sneer. "You think you're so smart, don't you? With your perfect career and your perfect dresses. You've been poisoning Eleanor against me. You told her I shouldn't be allowed in the family photos because I'll ruin the aesthetic." I stopped, keeping a polite 3 feet of distance between us. "Chloe, you are projecting an entire fantasy novel onto my life. I haven't mentioned you to Eleanor. Quite frankly, I don't think about you enough to poison anyone against you." "You be," Chloe hissed, her face contorting. She took a step closer, her eyes darting toward the edge of the staircase. I saw the calculation in her eyes a split second before she moved. It was like watching a bad actress prepare for a stunt. She didn't trip. She didn't slip. She deliberately threw herself backward toward the first 3 steps of the grand staircase, letting out a blood-curdling, theatrical shriek that echoed through the entire estate. "Clara, no. Don't push me," she screamed. She tumbled down exactly 3 steps, landing squarely on her padded backside on the wide, carpeted landing. It was a remarkably controlled fall. A stunt double couldn't have executed a safer descent. But the moment her body hit the landing, she let out a wail of absolute, simulated agony. "My baby. Oh my God, my baby." She pushed me. Clara pushed me. The foyer below went dead silent. Within 3 seconds, footsteps pounded up the stairs. Liam arrived first, his face pale with horror, throwing himself to his knees beside her. Nathan was right behind him, his eyes immediately locked onto me. I was standing at the top of the stairs, perfectly still, holding Eleanor's gift box with both hands, my expression completely unbothered. Crying without tears is bad for the skin, and Chloe was currently wiping dry eyes while sobbing hysterically. "She pushed me, Liam." Chloe howled, clutching her lower abdomen. I told her I was worried about the stairs and she shoved me. I felt something snap. Oh God, there's pain. There's so much pain. My baby. Liam looked up at me, his eyes filled with a mixture of rage and confusion. "Clara. How could you? She's pregnant." The rest of the family, Eleanor, Aunt Beatrice, and several prominent guests, gathered at the base of the stairs, looking up at the scene. Chloe was putting on a masterclass of tragic victimization. She collapsed against Liam's chest, panting heavily, whimpering about cramping and blood. Nathan stepped up to the top landing, standing right beside me. He didn't look at Chloe. He looked at me. "Are you all right?" he asked quietly. "I'm perfectly fine," I replied, my voice carrying clearly over Chloe's sobbing. "My dress isn't even wrinkled." Clara pushed her. Liam shouted, his voice cracking. "Nathan, your wife just attacked my pregnant wife. We need an ambulance. She's losing the baby." Eleanor stepped forward, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floor of the foyer. Her face was an unreadable mask of high society composure. "Liam, calm down. If Chloe is in medical distress, we will call an ambulance immediately. Let us move her to the study first. We are not hosting a public tragedy in the foyer."